Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and today, as always, we are here to discuss the things that really matter. I am Tim Knight.
And I'm David Decker.
The topic today is presidential versus parliamentary government. I will be arguing on behalf of the presidential system, USA.
I will be arguing on behalf of the parliamentary system, Go Europe. And as always, remember that the views and opinions expressed in this conversation do not necessarily represent our own views. They are merely for our enjoyment and your amusement. Now, today, we'll be arguing on two ways to govern a legislative and executive body of branches of government. So first I will explain for you viewers at home that do not understand what have not heard what a parliamentary system of government is. So how it works is you have a body of legislators that elect the chief executive out of their own ranks, and thus the party that controls the body of legislature can do whatever they want unless their members decide to not go with what the party leadership is saying.
And as most of you know, we live in the United States with a presidential system. We elect president and we elect legislators. They act separately of each other. They can have different parties. They might not always agree. And this leads to like a slower system of government. There's more time put into decisions, which I think is a very important part of the legislative process.
In the parliamentary system, it is much more efficient and the government can actually do things, unlike our own United States system.
But if things happen too fast, that can lead to major consequences. And that is the founding principles of why we have a presidential system in the United States. Change can be bad. I'm not saying change is always bad, but change too quickly can have very unintended consequences.
I would argue that a government that is able to work efficiently and fast in order to deal with problems is a better way to go. In general, the American government is criticized for being extremely slow and inefficient and cannot function fast enough to deal with the problems that arise. It took till 2010 for us to pass any meaningful healthcare reform, whereas other European nations passed such reforms decades ago.
I'm not going to discuss the issues of the health reform systems we've had in America. I think that's a bad way to go. But you see, with the presidential system, you have a check and balances system, which you do not have in the presidential system, in the parliamentary system, excuse me. Checks and balances, I think, are very important to democracy and how your government works. If you have branches checking up on each other, none can become more powerful than the other and gain majority, which will lead to tyranny. As we know, tyranny is a bad thing.
Tyranny is a bad thing, but I would argue that it is, in the current day and age, it is not necessarily that much of a problem. The thing is,
I think a lot of people are worried about King Trump.
In a parliamentary system,
King Trump is scary.
This is true. However, you are forgetting the third branch of government, the judicial branch, that can also check either branch in either system. Whereas in a parliamentary system, it is much easier to truly understand who is actually causing the problems in the government. Because one party controls the executive and legislative branches, and their policy goes into place, in the next election, voters can accurately judge who is the problem. Whereas in our system, you have no idea. Is it the Democrats' fault? Is it the Republicans' fault? They aren't doing anything. They're roadblocking each other. The wheels of Washington are grinding to a halt, and nothing is getting done. Who do you vote for? You don't know. You don't know what's going on in the smoky back rooms of Congress.
Let me explain to you something, David. Parliamentary systems are prone to collapse and failure. The biggest thing why president systems are better is Hitler. Hitler came to power. Hitler killed a bunch of people, all because of a parliamentary system. You lost.
I'm saying the person that brings up Hitler is the one that has lost.
Oh, it is the strongest point. Whenever you can drop a Hitler reference, you win.
No, you
As
not.
you just see here, I win.
The
parliamentary system allowed for Hitler to come to power.
That was an extenuating circumstance that was caused because of bad judgments after World War I. I would argue that.
But
that
if we
is
had a presidential
one sample
system,
size.
there's no if Hitler was the
So you're saying that
president.
Trump can't become Hitler?
That's exactly what I'm saying. If Hitler was president, he would not be able to do all the things he did because of the systems and checks and balances. There was nothing to stop
I would argue
Hitler
against
from
that.
doing all the
If
things he was doing.
Hitler inspired the German people to suddenly hate certain other groups of people,
Not
which
all
allowed
German
him
people,
to do
not all German
a
people.
decent amount of enough German people to allow him to do what he wanted. The thing is, in America, if some leader was able to inspire the same amount of rage, then that it still wouldn't stop it, because eventually, in a few years, elections would turn enough that that group would be in power. I would argue that presidential systems still do not protect you from massive catastrophes such as Adolf Hitler taking over Germany, which again I do not think is an appropriate subject.
I think is completely. I think that shows
Tim,
a big flaw.
Tim, do you like France?
No, I don't like France.
Do you know
French
the only other
French people are fine.
major Western country that uses a system such as America? It's France.
This is just
FYI.
not relevant.
It is
French is a dying language. No one's gonna be speaking French.
This is null and void. This is not.
You brought this up. Bad idea.
I brought up the country and the system
Parliament
of government.
systems are prone to collapse, and when
They are
something, yes, they are.
They can collapse.
If the president and the party,
But they
the
restructure.
power,
They restructure.
yeah. Our government hasn't restructured at all. We've had changes.
Yeah, we've
in
had
power.
nothing happen.
Yeah, that's the thing. President
Nothing
systems
happens.
don't have that. Yeah, that's the thing.
We are not able to
when your
efficiently
system
deal
fails,
with problems.
Hitler comes to power. That's what happens. It's
There are too
parliamentary
many
systems.
roadblocks in the presidential system for any meaningful change to happen.
But change
in an
still does
actual,
happen.
Like
We sh-
meaningful time.
We
time
still
scale.
get things done.
We get things
We
done.
haven't got the budget passed in a long time, but we
the
used
way
to.
we get things done now to make meaningful social change is with the courts, which is not even something that changes between a presidential and parliamentary system. How did gay marriage become a thing? The courts. How did abortion become insured for all citizens? Or for all people in America? The courts.
And how do we get these laws to rule on? That's right, the system. The system that created the presidential system, which
There is no law that ensures abortions for.
But we
all
have
people
a
in America.
constitution lined out as part of our
That never
presidential
talks about
system.
abortion.
I know.
Whereas in a parliamentary system, you would be able to pass comprehensive legislation either way, whether you are support abortion or are against abortion. There are ways to get things done in a time meaningful manner. There are ways for the chief executive to actually get their agenda done. In Britain, the only way to take down their prime minister and to stop them from getting their agenda done is to defeat them in the next election. In America, it's easy to stop it, and thus there's no actual understanding of whose policies are actually adequate for dealing with problems.
I'd like to bring up something that comes with presidential and parliamentary powers, the difference between those two. In the presidential system, there's not much party loyalty. With the parliamentary system, there's a lot of party loyalty. I think that has an issue because then that causes people don't in the parliamentary system don't care what their constituents want. They only care what their party wants.
I would argue against that.
And how so?
I would argue that in general, parties work better as labels in a parliamentary system because the parties exert so much control. Thus, they can become more ideological and stronger, and thus constituents.
More ideological
know what
can be bad. More ideological
sure,
can
but
be bad.
constituents know what they're buying into. In America,
No,
when
they
you
can't.
vote-
They
yes,
can't.
They can.
No, because in America,
know-
you vote. You're not
they are
voting on a
ideological.
party. I'm not voting Democratic Party. I'm voting for this person to represent my
I would argue
ideas.
that that's not
and that
good.
you're representing a
I would
party.
argue it's better to vote for ideals because ideals are less fallible than real people.
But the
real
thing-
people are harder to bribe, or ideals are harder to bribe than real people, Tim. You can't bribe nationalism. You can't bribe liberalism.
Ideas change though. People have.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's the issue.
Not fast enough and they change too fast.
So
for
so
a presidential
you're telling me
system
you
to
just
keep
want
up.
to be represented by ideas,
Yes.
and not people.
Yes.
That's all I have for my closing. Do you have anything you'd like to add, David?
A parliamentary system is the only way is a way to escape the seemingly endless grinding and slowing of any type of meaningful change in government. The presidential system is not adequate. Thank you.
Parliament means Hitler. Done. Thanks. Boom.
Don't bring up.
Thank you for watching, everyone.
Please leave a like or subscribe.
Feel free to comment who you think won this debate.
And if you have an idea for a future discussion, feel free to leave it in the comments section.
Thank you.